Legends, here we go with The Empire Strikes Back. Hey guys, welcome to another episode here in the review show, Coins Age Media. I am Rodney Stewart and I am just home from work. I've got a bit of time in my hands. Please excuse any of the background noise. I've got a main road next to the office here, so there may be a little bit of noise, so I apologise for that. Before we get started, 1980, we got The Empire Strikes Back, the follow-up to Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. This is Episode 5. Absolutely fantastic movie. This is the one that the majority of people will tell you is the definitive Star Wars movie, the best one that was ever made. Nothing has came close to touching this one. If they make a new Star Wars movie, this is usually the one people will hold up as, you know, it has to be as good as this or better. That hasn't happened yet, but you know, people have went on about, you know, how good or how bad a Star Wars movie is, and I have always said that, you know, no matter how good a Star Wars movie is, there is always structurally there's a little bit of a flaw in each of them, and this one is no exception to that rule. You know, it's a brilliant film, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love it. I enjoy, on record right now, every Star Wars movie that's been made up to this point. I have enjoyed each and every one of them because they are genuinely enjoyable movies. You know, all I want from a film is to go in, be entertained. Hopefully it'll pull the emotional strings once in a while, and each and every one of them has done it for me. But this one here, if I had to select a film as the best of them all, I would agree this is the best one. But again, there is bits and pieces in the film that, you know, it's good but it's not perfect. Now, we start off, we don't know how much time has passed between the Star Wars films. You've got the opening crawl that tells you that they, you know, after the rebellion's won and destroying the Death Star, they've established a new base, but Darth Vader basically has started searching the galaxy for Luke Skywalker. We discover within this film that Darth Vader has worked out who Luke Skywalker is, and we don't get to find out to the end of this movie. So if you haven't seen this one yet, if you haven't seen Star Wars, spoilers, I am going to give you the big spoiler of this movie. But considering this is now 2020 and this film came out in 1980, you know, if you haven't seen it now, it's your own fault. But again, on the off chance, the slim chance that you haven't, definitely jump off this video, go and watch it, then by all means come back to this one. At the start, we're on the ice planet Hoth. The rebellion has established a new base, and Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, they're out on tauntauns, you know, big beasties, like dinosaur looking things, gentle giants essentially, and they're out, you know, doing their rounds to make sure there's no imperial activity. But at the start of the film, we seen Star Destroyers shooting off probes into the galaxy. One has landed close by to Luke and Han, and Luke decides to go and investigate, and he gets attacked by a big snow beast, and this is just the first in a whole line of Luke screwing up the entire way through this movie. Safe to say, it's, you know, probably going to get some hate for saying that, but you know, there is very little in this film that Luke actually gets right. But that's the start of it anyway, and you know, eventually he gets away from the beast, and he sees a vision of Obi-Wan Kenobi telling him that he has to go to Dagobah and learn from the Jedi Master that taught him, Yoda. You know, and this is a hole in the bigger storyline. When people say, you know, we eventually get the episode 1 we discover that Obi-Wan was taught by Qui-Gon Jinn, but that has nothing to do with this movie. But there is excuses for that if you really want to play that game. Obi-Wan really doesn't have any reason to tell Luke about Qui-Gon Jinn, technically, even though after Qui-Gon died in episode 1, chances are Obi-Wan could have took extra training from Yoda. No one knows. There's chunks of the storyline that we did. As far as the movie goes, if there's other Star Wars series, maybe they close that gap. I'm not aware of them. I haven't watched them at this point, but I might do, and we'll get that into the cartoon review at some point. And on the subject of that, gosh, I'm going off topic badly here. As reviews I'm going to be doing on classic 80s cartoons haven't worked out where they're going to live just yet, with the whole COPPA thing going on, but we'll work it out in time. Star Wars will probably be a part of that as well. But anyway, Hans discovered that Luke didn't return after going to check out the probe, and he goes out hunting him down and eventually gets him, and his tauntaun freezes, and they ended up having to rough it for the night out in the Arctic atmosphere of Hoth, and the rebellion has got no option but to wait till the next morning to go looking for them. Long story short, of course, they're the two heroes of the story. They're going to be safe to get back to the base, and we discover that there's a probe droid from the Empire floating about on Hoth, and Han and Chewie discover it, and they took a shot at it, and that probably blew your speakers clean out. That is a message tone that I have on my phone, and that yo-ho, rewind it back, listen to that again. That is actually Han Solo in Star Wars Episode 4, whenever he takes out the TIE fighter and helps Luke destroy the Death Star. Yo-ho! That's what that message tone is. So, even though my phone interrupted this episode, it was on topic. Right, where were we? Han and Chewie take out the probe droid, and that alerts the Empire to where the rebellion's at. So the rebellion start their evacuation, and during that, of course, the Empire turns up, and we get one of the best cinematic sequences in cinematic history. The AT-AT walkers heading towards Echo Base, and the snow speeders going out to attack them. When I said earlier on that parts of these movies, as good as they are, there is usually something in there that makes it a little less than perfect. It is this sequence, even though it's fantastic, one of the best sequences ever shot. The snow speeders are trying to take out the walkers, and they discover that they can't shoot these things down. The armor, and I'm quoting Luke Skywalker here, that armor is too strong for blasters. Use your harpoons and tow cables, go for the legs. And it's brilliant, that sequence where they use the tow cables and the harpoons to target the legs of the walkers, and then they fly around them and basically tie up the legs and knock them over. Fantastic. And it would have been okay if that's had where they left it, but there's an hour shot where a snow speeder comes across, two blasts with a laser, and blows up the walker. So that is nitpicking, but whenever they go out of their way to tell you that this armor is too strong for blasters, we're going to have to tie them up and knock them over, sort of thing, then go on with two shots, blow them to pieces. Anyway, eventually the rebellion managed to get off Hoth, and Han and Leia and Chewie they disappear in the Millennium Falcon. Luke goes to Dagobah on his X-Wing Red 5 to get taught by Yoda. And by the way, Luke gets away from Hoth without a Star Destroyer to be seen. But when the Rebellion and the Millennium Falcon take off, there's the Star Destroyers coming out of their ears, and they're left to deal with that. So, part of me is kind of like, why didn't the whole Rebellion just leave the planet the same way Luke did? And again, it sounds like I'm really crapping in this movie, but I have had this conversation quite a few times with people. Like, there's a guy, Star Wars purist friend of mine, who was just like, we were talking about The Last Jedi, and in all honesty, I enjoyed that movie, and we'll get into that when we actually review that movie. But I enjoyed the movie. He absolutely hated it. And again, I brought up the point, Star Wars are flipping fantastic, very exciting, entertaining movies. Love them all, but structurally, they're not perfect. None of them are. And he was like, I disagree. Empire is perfection. So again, there's the walkers, the strong armor. That's something you can point at. The Rebellion getting off the planet, Luke getting off the planet and having getting away scot-free, and the rest of the Rebellion, and the Millennium Falcon in particular, having to deal with Star Destroyers coming out their ears. So that, again, that leads to a fantastic sequence in the asteroid belt where they try to escape the Empire. For 1980, that sequence, if you go back and watch it now, you're going to be seeing the special edition, like the digitally remastered, upgraded version of it. But if you go back and actually find, and I don't have any of them handy here at the minute, I do actually have VHS copies of the original trilogy pre-special edition, and even then it looked absolutely fantastic. Like the special editions tidied them up, put that digital kind of gloss on it, but really those sequences there weren't changed in great detail. They were just tidied up, but the effects are absolutely fantastic in that asteroid belt sequence. They end up hiding on one of the bigger asteroids, and then later discover that they're actually inside the belly of a giant space worm. They escape from that and eventually give up, but Han decides to take a point blank assault on one of the Star Destroyers, and then they seem to disappear off the radar. But the Millennium Falcon has actually landed on the back of one of the Star Destroyers. While all this is going on, Luke has came across this crazy little green creature that's just an idiot. He's just really annoying. Luke's crash landed on Dagobah. Red 5 has sunk to the bottom of a swamp, and he's setting up camp. And this little creature is annoying him beyond all belief, and he's losing his patience with this little creature. And get away, you're really annoying me, sort of a thing. And everything he's doing is really just driving him crazy. He wants to find this Yoda character and just get on with what he was there for in the first place. And then the wee creature says, I can't train him, he's got no patience. And the personality changes, and you hear Obi-Wan saying, was I any different? And the penny finally drops. This little creature the whole time has been Yoda, and this has been one of his first tests for Luke to see if he's going to be worth training as a Jedi. And Luke gets off to a bad start, but Yoda talks with just the voice of Obi-Wan at this time. He doesn't make an appearance later on. Yoda decides to take Luke on, try and train him, as a Jedi. Now this is a bit again where I'm kind of thinking time stops moving in this movie at a certain point, because you know the amount of things that Luke does on the planet Dagobah with Yoda training him and whatnot, and then there's parts where he's, you know, nothing more will I show you today, and then Luke discovers the cave and he gets the cold feeling, and Yoda tells him that, you know, this area is strong with the power of the dark side and you must go. And Luke, being the fantastic pupil that he is, he puts on his gun belt, or he's in the process of putting his belt on, and Yoda says, your weapons, you will not need them. So being the good student Luke is, he doesn't put the belt down, you know, no, I don't need this weapon, you know, I'll leave it here, sort of thing. No, he puts the belt on and takes it with him anyway. For me, if I was Yoda, I would slap the back of his wrist for doing that one. So he walks into this cave, and it's one of these things where it's like a, you know, a Jedi training sequence where it kind of brings your fears to life, sort of thing, kind of manifesting. And of course, in the cave, Darth Vader appears before him, and Luke draws his weapon, and they duel slightly, and Luke swings his saber, cuts Vader's head off, and then the mask explodes, and inside it you see Luke's face. Now, he failed that test again. I said at the start, just a whole bunch of him screwing stuff up in this movie. And, you know, if he had listened to Yoda, he wouldn't have had his lightsaber in there to screw up in the first place. So you don't listen, and, you know, how the heck am I going to train you to be a Jedi if you're not going to listen to what I tell you? Again, I don't mean to be tearing this movie to pieces. I absolutely love it. You know, if it's on, I need to watch it. I have got multiple copies of it on VHS, DVD. If it's on television, even if it's the stupid o'clock at night whenever I need to get up early for work the following day, I'm just like, oh, The Empire Strikes Back is on. I'm going to sit and watch this bad boy. So, back on the Millennium Falcon, the Imperial fleet are starting to break up, and Han disengages the Millennium Falcon because during protocol on the Empire, before they'll go to light speed, they'll dump their garbage. So that's his idea. You know, he'll just disengage and float off with the rest of the garbage, and that's quoting Princess Leia. She loves taking the hand out of Luke. She likes taking the hand out of Han Solo about the Millennium Falcon being a flying dustbin, basically. So the Star Destroyers all jump to light speed, and the Millennium Falcon flies off, and then within the garbage, another ship takes off, which is the bounty hunter Boba Fett. And later on, Han Solo manages to get to Bespin. So we finally get to Cloud City. We meet Lando Calrissian, who is a friend of Han Solo's. Well, when he says friend, it's one of these things where, you know, is he a friend or is he not a friend? There's a history between the two of them that we don't really work out really what it is. Only that at one point Lando owned the Millennium Falcon and Han won it off him in a card game. So that's all we discover for their relationship. But they get to the city, they think they're safe enough. And then eventually they discover that the bounty hunter that chased them earlier on, you know, from the garbage patch in space, managed to get there before them. There's a little bit of a sequence where the city security is keeping them at bay, and you know, that's another thing with these older movies. There's chunks of stuff on there that they don't explain because they don't need to explain it. That's a killer about modern cinema at the minute. Every little thing has to be explained. But in this here, the Millennium Falcon has not been allowed to land, and Harrison Ford, Han Solo, is trying his best. Trying to get hold of Lando Calrissian, and eventually they come land here. The whole reason for that is that the bounty hunter got there first, and then we discover that Darth Vader was on the ship with the bounty hunter. Jumping across a few pieces here because this video is getting very, very long. So basically, Vader takes them all into custody and he starts torturing them because he knows that Luke is going to come and rescue them, or attempt to rescue them, and his idea is to capture Luke whenever he comes to rescue them and take him to the Emperor. Now, Vader knows at this point that Luke is indeed his son. I probably dropped that spoiler a little bit too soon in this review. So he wants him kept, preserved. Don't want to hurt him, but we're going to put him in something to take him out of action completely, and they decide to put him in the carbonite, freeze him in carbonite, and they decide to use this process on Han Solo. And Calrissian says, and he's torn at the minute. He's trying to protect his own interests and his own people in Cloud City from the Empire, and he doesn't want to work with them, but he has to work with them, sort of thing. But he wants to help the rebellion too, so he's stuck between a rock and a hard place at this point. And he's like, if you put him in there, I'll kill him. And the plans talking about putting Luke into it. Lando's like, if you put him into this here, it could kill him. And Vader's like, we'll test it in Solo. So he gets himself frozen in carbonite and taken away by the bounty hunter, essentially. Luke Skywalker eventually decides to leave. He discovers that something's through the Force, and something's not right here. My friends, they're in pain, and Obi-Wan appears, and along with Yoda, they're kind of like, yes, your friends are being tormented, more or less. Will they die? Luke is like, will they die? And the future is not certain. I can't see that. Emotion is always the future. So Luke decides he's going to disappear, and when I have to go help him. I can't continue my training if they're in any danger. So he's getting ready to leave, and Yoda is telling him, don't go. You need to complete this training. If you go, you could help them, but there's not much point, sort of thing. Yoda is seeing the bigger picture for Luke. He's going to be he's potentially the one that's going to stop Vader and the Emperor, and to go now would risk all of it. And Obi-Wan appears and he tries to back up Yoda, and Luke's like, no, I have to do it, I have to go, I can't let my friends be harmed. And Obi-Wan is like, if you choose to face Vader, you'll do it alone. I can't get involved in it. And Luke's like, I understand. So basically that leads up to the end of the movie, the final confrontation between Vader and Luke. And again, you're waiting for Luke to win by the end of this movie, but they're not hiding anything. It's in the title, The Empire Strikes Back. The good guys get their asses handed to them on multiple occasions in this movie. I think that's why people like this the most out of all of them. It's kind of like you had that opening story and A New Hope, where evil was punished and good won at the end of it, and then we do a sequel to it, and then you're expecting evil to get its ass kicked again. But in this one, they hand the good guys their ass very, very hard in this movie. So by the end of the lightsaber fight, Luke gets his hand chopped off, Vader tells him that he's his father, and join me, son, and we'll rule the galaxy as father and son. But instead of Luke doing that, giving into it, he decides to throw himself into this giant pit inside Cloud City, which he basically just ejects him out into the atmosphere of the planet. But he gets rescued by Leia and the Millennium Falcon, and a lot of people gloss over it in this film, and even into the last two movies, The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker. Everybody was like, where did she get all of her Jedi powers at? Way back in The Empire Strikes Back, at the very end, she knew Luke was in trouble, and she turned the Falcon back to go and rescue him. So there was the first bit of proof that she was force sensitive. And we did discover earlier in the movie too that there is another, they're talking about Skywalkers here. Luke's the final hope, and Yoda's like, no, there is another. But that's all we get in this movie. So basically, at the end of the movie, Luke gets rescued by Princess Leia. The Empire has deactivated the light speed in the Millennium Falcon. So again, we're under a chase at the closing of the film. Basically, we're back in the Star Destroyers chasing the Millennium Falcon again, and Darth Vader is on a Star Destroyer, and he's like talking to Luke through the Force, sort of thing. It's like, come with me, son, and he's really, head frying him a little bit, and R2-D2 manages to fix the light speed and the Millennium Falcon escapes, and Vader disappears off again, defeated at the end of the movie. Scondered. That's a Northern Ireland word, if you're not aware of that there. Scondered means he's just fed up. So by the end of the movie, Darth Vader is well and truly scondered. So I bet you weren't expecting to get a lesson in Northern Ireland speak by the end of this video. Northern Ireland speak. God, we talk so stupid here. Yes, by the end of the film, we're on the medical frigate of the rebellion, and that's a wonderful word, and I got into so much trouble as a kid for saying medical frigate, because my parents thought that I was swearing. They heard frigate. And I'm like, I'm not saying bad words, mommy and daddy. They're just medical frigate. Stop saying frigate, son. At the end of the movie, Luke gets a mechanical hand attached, and it's covered in human flesh, and we see the Millennium Falcon. Lando Calrissian is now piloting along with Chewbacca, and they're going off on their own little mission now to try and find the bounty hunter that took Han Solo, and basically tell the princess whenever we get the location, we'll let you know. And that's where the film closes out at. That is an epically long episode. That's 29 minutes and 47 seconds of me talking complete and utter nonsense, and I've enjoyed every second of it, because I love just sitting down talking about movies and whatnot. It would be great to get somebody else on here for a few episodes to give me a bit of a hand with this sort of stuff. So yes, I need to cut this here off, because if I keep going, that's just going to tear the backside out of it. Now, at the end of this video, I'm going to put a little thing here, and I want you to put this into the comments below this video, so I know that you've made it to the end of it. I'm a big Kevin Smith fan, so in the comments section below this video, put Snoochie Boochies, and if you put that comment there, I know you've watched to the end of the video, because I want to give you a little bit of an incentive to get to the end of these videos, these episodes, and give me a little bit of lift up, and watch time is the big thing here at the minute. So not the most exciting videos, I know, but hopefully somebody will enjoy them, and that's going to do it for this one.